Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream or today's live stream, depends on where you are located, right? So yeah, hope you're all doing fine and say hello in the chat box if you are here. I'm still gonna wait a couple of minutes and yeah, before, well, actually I start with the big thing, which is talking about my trip to Amsterdam, but especially what I learned when testing the OM-1 Mark I and firmware 1.7 and, well, one of my favorite prime lenses ever made, but more on that later. So, hi Barry, I just read your message in the chat. Welcome to the stream. Oh, by the way, while everyone's gathering, I've had a very busy day today, right? So, but in a very exciting way, and because I've met a good friend of mine and it was about photography, and you most likely know him as well because he's a fellow YouTuber. Your best guess in the live chat, so go for it. Oh, and as always, I'm gonna look down there when reading your comments. So, hey Peter, hello Mr. Swiss Observer, Geoff, Marbella, well that sounds nice. So, hi there. Okay, any best guesses already? Anyone knows or wants to take a shot at who I met? I'm gonna show you a picture, right? I'm gonna show you a picture. Because that was actually pretty awesome. Hi there, hi Tom. Oh cool, Tom Pantex, I like that handle. So yeah, here we go. I'm gonna show you a photo on the screen and you have to take a look and tell me who that is. The guy with the shadow in his face, well that's actually me, right? But the other one is, of course, no one's. Oh, hey. Greg, hello. Hey, Frank. Hey, David. Hey, Jill. Hi there. So who's that in the frame? Who was that? That was actually Peter Forsgard. Exactly. It was Peter Forsgard. So now I see it in the chat box. So yeah, so Peter is in Vienna and we went for a very intense photo walk and we also recorded some content which you can see on his channel in the upcoming weeks. So whenever he's finished, so for me it was pretty exciting. I really love what Peter is doing, and even though he's no longer photographing with OM system cameras, that's really not a big deal, right? Because photography is not really about cameras but about what you do, and it's a craft, it's an art, and Peter's craft is really up there, and I'd say he's got amazing videos and amazing tips on his channel regarding street photography, but you can also apply those right to other genres. So definitely go to Peter's channel. So if you are watching this live stream, like the recording later on, I'm gonna put a link to his channel up there, and yeah, if not, most of you probably have already subscribed to his channel. So yes. Yeah, so I read there that I was in the live with Clare. That's right. So Clare from OM System is gonna join us later on if everything works. It seems like there are some minor technical difficulties, but we will see whether we can still do that. So there will be a small interruption later on where I'm gonna get Claire on the call, or at least I try to, and then we will see. In any case, I'd like to start with the stream itself by highlighting why I am doing this right now and on such a short notice. And the reason is actually because I got so many messages and questions regarding the current OM system rebates in Europe. Maybe there are OM-1 Mark 1 rebates around the world as well, but currently in Europe you get the OM-1 Mark 1 and one of the f1.2 prime lenses for an excellent price, as well as I think some other pro lenses like the 12-40 and the 12-100 or something like that. They are also on discount when you buy them with the OM-1 Mark 1. And yeah, those are really good deals. And so many of you asked, well, is it, so I've got an OM5, should I get an OM-1 Mark 1? Or I've got one OM-1 Mark 1, is it the right thing to get like another OM-1 Mark 1 with one of those prime lenses, or should I better wait for the OM-1 Mark 2? And so this question is actually pretty hard to answer, but as I've traveled to Amsterdam to cover IBC, also link up there or go to my channel to watch the coverage, right? So I've taken my two OM1s Mark 1 there and I've photographed really a lot with them. So, and I thought I'm going to share my findings and build my perspective on the Mark 1, which is of course on its way out, right? The Mark 2 is the new kid on the block, as I've said before. So really it is like, I wouldn't call it a clearance sale, right? But you can get the last OM-1 Mark 1s. At least that's what I think that's going on, right? So in any case, I'm trying to answer the question whether you should actually get one of those deals. And what I'd like to highlight right now, so the video itself is not sponsored by OM System, but OM System was kind enough to provide a discount code. So if you plan on purchasing the OM-1 Mark 1 and one of those prime lenses after this video, this live stream has finished, because right now I cannot post anything, it seems, I'm gonna pin a comment down there and there's gonna be a discount code. It's not gonna make the combo cheaper because it's already very cheap, but you get a little extra. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, just that I have recently purchased it and it's pretty neat, I'd say. And well, you probably wouldn't like think about getting it in the first place, but once you have it, you're gonna find it super, super neat, especially for travel. So that is kind of this part. And as everything fits so well together, well, I'd say, yeah, that's why I'm doing this right now. So okay, I'm gonna say my highs there as well. There is Rudy, channel member. Thank you very much for being a channel member and for supporting the channel. Hi Peter, Kurt, and Jonathan. So really, hi there again to all of you. And that's the last thing before I get to my little presentation that I've prepared for you. I'd like to invite you to check out channel memberships. It really helps me to create content like this one, but also, let's say, more niche, but let's say insightful content like the IBC coverage. So because it really allows me to do things that doesn't necessarily generate tons of clicks, but gives you industry insights that you cannot find anywhere else. So really, I would highly appreciate if you check out channel memberships. It's a monthly support that really, really helps me to make these videos. And of course, you also get a few perks. There are channel member exclusive videos, as well as you get priority replies in the comments. And if you are in the live chat, like right now, you get these little starry icons there. So yeah, that's the bonus. All right, so hope you are ready. I am ready, and I'm excited to talk about the OM-1 Mark 1 and the 17mm f1.2 Pro. Let's go. All right, that's the cover shot, right? So that's actually sundown in Amsterdam, right, on the last day. So before I talk about this camera lens combo in particular, I'd like to talk about having one camera and one lens on a photo trip in general, right? In general. So, because there is, of course, well, that's a quote, you've heard it on this channel many times before, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And I really believe in that, because if you've got like one camera and one lens, it puts you in a different mindset when working in the field. And especially when you are traveling and you are not forced to like get 100 different perspectives and you know what you actually encounter, it can be actually a huge relief if you just bring one camera and one lens. And that is exactly what I did on my trip to Amsterdam. So of course I brought one OM-1 equipped for video, but I also brought one OM-1 with the 17mm f1.2 Pro, which I also used for video because, well, let's face it, the 17mm f1.2 Pro is an excellent video lens, but really it was for photography, so street and reportage photography. And actually, you know, I found out quite a few interesting things there. So the question is, of course, what is the camera and the lens for you, right? Because just because, well, this is the perspective I like, it might not be the right perspective for you. The next aspect that you always have to think about when deciding that you only want to bring one camera and one lens is, of course, performance. You are stuck with this one piece of equipment, so it's better be able to do everything you want to do with it, right? So performance is also a very important aspect. And last but not least, portability. Of course, when you bring only one camera and one lens, well, it's not a big deal to carry it around. But, well, if I would have brought my Pentax 645Z digital medium format with one lens, I could have managed probably, but yeah, that would be something completely different, right? And also, of course, not very suitable for street photography. But yeah, that is that. So, oh, and full disclaimer, right? I've got a very squeaky chair down there. I haven't been able to fix it before the stream started. So yeah, you're gonna hear squeak from time to time. In any case, let's move on. As I already said multiple times, I brought the OM-1 Mark I and the 17mm f1.2 Pro. And in this video, I actually want to highlight what I'm gonna talk about in more detail in dedicated videos afterwards, but those videos are going to be very technical, and so I thought I'm going to do this live stream also include a lot of technical things, but give you the opportunity to ask questions right away. Okay, so that's the idea. The first thing is, of course, I'd like to really describe my experience with the new and improved autofocus performance of the OM-1 Mark I, because with firmware 1.7 there were a couple of things updated, but mostly I'd say the most important thing, for me at least, is the autofocus update, because although it doesn't sound like much, it allows you to do things like, well, you probably weren't able to do things before, right? So it's a completely new way of working with this camera, in my opinion. I want to share this technique in there. And second thing is, of course, I said you have to decide on perspective. So you might think, well, I'm not really a 17mm guy, a 35mm, that's not, so 35mm on a 135 film camera, right? So that's the equivalence thing. So I'm probably not a 35mm guy. I don't know whether the 17mm is good enough for me. I'm probably gonna go for the 25 and so on and so forth. But there is really one important thing. I'm currently testing the 17mm extensively. Actually, I'm testing not just one 17mm, but a couple of 17mm to really get good and valid results there. And the thing is, this lens is actually pretty amazing. And well, what I've discovered, I'm gonna tell you later. And I'm also gonna tell you later how you can basically turn this lens in a 2-in-1 lens. So yeah, already spoiled that. So, and of course portability. So being a pro lens, and of course also this camera being the OM-1 Mark I and not the OM-5, which I love and which I use to film this live stream right now, this is of course a bit heavier, but we are still pretty portable. So when I put this thing on there with the camera strap and the battery and everything, so we are a bit over a kilo. So yeah, that's not really a big deal, I'd say. All right, so by the way, if you already own a 17mm f1.2, please let me know. Please drop that in there in the comments, in the top chat. I'd love that. I'd love to hear that. Oh, I see. I just see some of the things here. I'm just gonna scroll through the chat comments really quick. Oh. Thank you very much for the shout out regarding the OM5 expert guide. So yeah, that's also something I greatly appreciate. If you purchased one of my guides, that's also a great way to not only support my work, but also hopefully get something interesting for your work. In any case, I'm gonna move on with the next slide. And here is the thing, firmware 1.7. So we all know that the OM-1 Mark 1, since its release, got quite a few firmware updates. So the thing is that you might say, oh well, but for me, the camera got a little bit better, but it really didn't change all that much. And to me, that's not a big surprise, right? Because when I purchased the OM-1 Mark 1, like a few months after it came out, it's actually the camera that really brought me back into Micro Four Thirds. I didn't own a Micro Four Thirds camera for my professional work before the OM-1 Mark 1. I had Micro Four Thirds equipment in the past, but yeah, that was really years ago. So really the OM-1 brought me back, and it was on firmware 1.0. And already at this firmware version, it impressed me. And I immediately took it out to shoot low-light fashion shows with it. I was just so impressed with it, and I didn't even use all the pro lenses yet, but I had some stopgap solutions in there, and I was actually absolutely blown away by the results, by the focusing accuracy and everything. So really, I was really like, okay, this is a great camera. Nonetheless, it got various updates over the time, and I'd say those were mostly AF performance updates, lens compatibility updates, and stuff like that. And that's really what happened. So, but what happened now? So, as you might have noticed, firmware update 1.7 didn't really cause a huge splash. Of course not, because what do you want to improve, right? The OM-1 Mark 1 is already as good as it gets, I'd say. But there is one thing, so you can get the one-handed menu thing, right, and stuff like that. But before I go on about that, because that's where actually I would have to call in with our OM system expert, Clare. And I'm gonna pause the stream for a second. I'm gonna take a look whether I can get her on the call or whether she's experiencing technical difficulties. And yeah, you're either gonna hear everything from me or from Clare about the OM-1 Mark 1 with firmware 1.7. So please wait a second.
Hey, hello. How lovely to see you, Thomas. How are you? Okay. Okay.
Hello there. Now we are live. Are we live? Yes.
Good evening and hello to everybody. I hope you're having a great evening.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, dear subscribers, followers, live stream watchers, please welcome Miss Clare Harvey May. She's, I mean, probably you don't really need an introduction, right, Claire, because everyone knows you. But so I'd say I'm gonna leave that to you and just say probably you just say a few words what you're doing at OM System and so on. If you don't.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Firstly, thank you for inviting me on your channel. Very exciting to be a guest. And the first thing I will say is the 17mm f1.2 is one of my favorite lenses amongst others, but it's in my top 3. I absolutely love this lens. You can use it for anything. It's so versatile. So I'm so happy that you're showcasing it on your session tonight.
That is great, Claire. I have to admit. So yeah, I have to admit that I'm not really. I kind of show. I said, okay, I'm gonna do this a little bit earlier because the full review it's gonna take a long time. And as you might know, OM System sent me a few loaner lenses, so I can actually test sample variability of the 17mm because well, not every lens is exactly the same. So that's great, but I'm still running everything through the optical bench. So, but it's actually nice. Really it is actually a preview, really. And I want to highlight a few things because, of course, as we know, for OM System customers in Europe, the discounts, well, they're not gonna last forever, right? So I kind of want to push a few things out there. But Claire, one thing, could you maybe explain from your side, from like an official OM System statement, what happened in OMs with the firmware update 1.7 to the OM-1 Mark 1?
Yes, basically it is very important to to always do those firmware updates, because like with any electronics, things always move forward. We have always, we like to backdate some of the firmware. Obviously, you're not always going to get some of the new features that you would get on a camera that's just come out. But offering the firmware updates to give you better, better use of your camera. And the OM-1 is 3 years old now, just coming up for 3 years. So it gives it a new lease of life. And we massively encourage you not just to do the bodies, but also to do the firmware on the lenses as well, as part of your housework, general housework. So the firmware 1.7 has just been out a few weeks now. The main feature of the firmware update has been all about the autofocus. We keep improving, even it might be sort of small percentages, but we keep improving that autofocus every time. And of course, that's what we want with speed and making sure that it's absolutely spot on. So the all target mode autofocus has been improved, which means that when the all target is moving across the screen, it's much more accurate at picking out what's nearest to the center or what's moving. And it's basically tuning the focus position. So that has massively improved. We've also improved menu operation. So the erase button or trash button can now be used as my menu, as the menu button. So if you feel that the menu button is too far over to the left, you can now transfer that to the trash button, which means if you're shooting vertically, or if you're shooting and you want to keep your eyes on the prize without taking your eyes away from the viewfinder, you can just literally use a thumb. So it's all much easier than moving it across the screen, which is very easy. The other thing we have done is we have enhanced the handheld high res shot. Now, if you haven't tried this, especially with that 17mm, I'm sure you're going to talk about it later. Absolutely amazing. And what it's done is improve the algorithm for composition, okay, which is really important. So you've got some really great new features and improvements to bring your OM-1 up to spec. And obviously there are always some other sort of stability functions that go as standard whenever we do a firmware update. So that's pretty much all of it, but it's really good. Because do you agree that you found that the autofocus is much more intuitive, much more sticky now?
Actually, yes. And you know what? I was actually, yeah. So you've seen me smiling all the way through your presentation, because some things, I mean, for example, like the one-handed menu operation, it was on the OM-1 Mark II when it came out, and many nature photographers watching my channel, they said, "Oh, I would really like that on my OM-1 Mark I." Well, now
Right.
it's here, and I mean, it's for me, it's a non-thing. I don't use that, but yeah, hey, everyone's different, and that's a great thing to have. But really, you said, did you notice the autofocus? Well, interestingly, I wasn't really like, I wasn't really going to test firmware 1.7, because for me it was really already very good at 1.0.
Right.
I never missed a shot unless I messed up, right? That's I said that in previous videos. It was always my fault, never the cameras. So I was really like, yeah, okay, something got better. Okay, but but here's the thing, Claire. Actually, some of my friends on YouTube, right, subscribers and they said, well, my own one now feels like a new camera. Especially one comment was very enthusiastic. It said, wow, it's really like, now it's a lot better. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna put this thing through its paces in Amsterdam. And I agree, because so the all target autofocus, I didn't really use it that much, because really I want control. I want to position the AF target point where I want it, and the surrounding AF area, right? But in Amsterdam, I used this feature to actually do street and reportage photography, and the outcome is so incredible. I really can't believe it, because, well, not only is so really it is. How should I describe it? To me, it feels like it's so once it gets a target, or a subject, it's really following it through the frame,
Yeah.
and very, very reliably. And not
Yeah.
only that, it also almost knows which target I want to focus on. So it is really crazy. I've got a few suspicions what's going on under the hood, but I'm not here to take any guesses and wild shots there. I'm just sticking for now with that it really changed a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, and honestly, it's like just, I mean, you see, I'm very enthusiastic about that, but really, it is like with program mode. People are like, pros don't use program mode. It's for beginners. You don't need that. And no one uses all target mode. Who needs that? No, it's actually quite different. If these things work in a predictable manner and you know what they do, well, then you definitely use that in program mode. And just a bit of a spoiler, when Peter and I walked through the city of Vienna and we talked exactly about that, and he says, yeah, of course I do use program mode when I need to, right? So it is all
Right.
about, so really, and the all target mode is like program mode, but with autofocus to a degree. So, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that we you spoke earlier about having the OM-1 and just having version 1, and obviously the OM-1 is such a huge upgrade from the EM series, right? The EM series were great, but we put a whole new different focusing system into the OM-1.
Yeah.
We added quad core focusing, which means there's 4 times more the sensors and 4 times more the autofocus points. We went from 121 focus points to over 1,000. So, that's 10 times more autofocus points. And so, this has been so finely tuned. And, as the systems grow with mirrorless, the technology's just moved forward. We were the first people to bring out a mirrorless camera, before any other manufacturer. So we're way ahead with those innovations and with those technical beauties. And it isn't about cheating. It isn't about saying, oh, I'm not a pro or whatever. It's not about that. It's about embracing that technology that's coming and allowing us to think about composition, to think about what's coming into the frame, to be more creative, and allowing the camera to do a little bit more of the technical stuff, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that at all. It allows you to be a bit more free. You've got that freedom to express because you're not constantly looking at settings, constantly thinking about the technical side. You're able to immerse yourself into the creative side and say, I'm looking at an image, this is what I can see through my viewfinder, and open up to that.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I cannot, I mean, I really have to, I said it many times before, but we are so on the same page regarding the OM-1 being, it's a quantum leap. It is
So
really
different.
it's crazy. And I really like, so I my last Micro Four Thirds camera before the OM-1 was the EM-1 Mark II. I also tried the EM-1 Mark III, the EM-1X. I had those, but then I said, okay, I'm gonna go with DSLRs for a while. And really, and then I was like, yeah, okay, because DSLR autofocus systems are really, really good even today. But with the OM-1 Mark 1, by the way, back then, I was like, okay, this is really next level. This is just so different from what I was used to get from any OM system, well, Olympus cameras, but also comparing it to other manufacturers. It's really, really good. So I'm hyped with that, and I completely agree. It's really, so if you haven't upgraded to an OM-1 yet, do it. Even if it's a Mark 1, right? The Mark 2 is better. I love it. I use mine a lot in my pro work, but even the Mark 1, it is really a quantum leap. It is a quantum leap, and it's really, I'm always a bit careful, right? Because gear matters to a degree, but it's not everything. But sometimes it really matters, and it can really, it just gets things and worries out of your head if stuff just works. And yeah, the OM-1 is definitely that. The Mark 1 and the Mark 2.
I would absolutely agree with you that, the OM-1 Mark II is a fabulous camera, right? There's GND and things like that you don't have. But if it's about budget, or if you're just coming into the system, or maybe you're upgrading from the EM range, let me tell you, the OM-1 or the OM-1 Mark II will completely change how you think about photography and how you use your camera. I spend so much more time taking images
Yep.
rather than, you know, sort of setting things on the camera or having to think about the other stuff. I feel much more free in my photography, much more mobile, and as I said, much more creative, because, you know, once you're there, and it really does make a difference. And obviously we're allowing the R&D to help us with those features and with those technical side. But as I said before, it just allows you to be a bit freer to sort of take your hands off the technical
Yeah.
and just to immerse yourself in the photography. And when you're using a 17 1.2, it's just such a beautiful lens. It really is my favorite. I have it on my camera. I'm shooting with it tomorrow. So yeah, what a great combination.
And yeah, totally. And what I'd also like to add, so just a quick thing, because of the budget thing, I think it's really interesting to have an option that is also inexpensive, you know, and the OM-1 Mark 1 is at the moment inexpensive, really, because, for example, I was on a trip to Colombia, didn't post any photos yet because, I'm just shooting too many photos. In any case, and I left my OM-1 Mark 1 home back then, because I was really, you know, it was an adventurous trip, and I said, okay, I'm a bit afraid that maybe I'm gonna lose it, maybe I'm gonna break it, I don't know, and it's my workhorse. So I brought the EM1 Mark 1, pretty retro stuff in any case. But now, you know, now with the OM1, I mean, but if you really have, like, because back then it was brand new more or less, the OM1, and I said, you know, but in any case, I regretted not bringing it, because certain features and, you know, things, I was like, come on. And then, you know, in any case, but having an inexpensive camera for certain, inexpensive, right? For certain situations and trips, it's great. That's also why I haven't sold my OM-1 Mark 1s, even though I have the OM-1 Mark 2. So yeah, it's, you know, you never know. No, really,
well,
but
I know many people that run an OM1 and an OM1 Mark II, right? And I think I do have friends that have gone to the OM1 and still keep the EM1 as the second body, but actually always say, I want two OM1s, because the difference between the EM and the OM is a massive jump. Like it's a jump, you know. I can't even list the amount of things that are different between the EM range and the OM range. But what we want is super sharp pictures. What we want is, you know, the camera to be more effective, and you know, when it comes to the autofocus, it certainly is, for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, look at that. We got completely sidetracked, because actually we said we're gonna talk a little bit about the firmware, and now we are both out there praising how much we love the OM-1 Mark 1. But could be worse, right? I'm gonna nonetheless, I'm gonna check the comments really quick. Maybe there is a question that we can address together, because I know you've had a terribly busy day. Someone in the comments knew that already. So that you've been on other live streams, which I didn't know, because that's crazy. So okay,
I don't mind.
I see Eastern. Okay, wait a second. There is this. Okay, So there are a few remarks regarding the 17mm. I love the low light capability of the 17mm f1.2, says David. Beyond that, he's still getting used to the lens, right? Yeah, I probably have some inspiration upcoming regarding how you can use it, you know. Not gonna bombard you with holiday pictures slideshow style. That's not what I'm gonna do, but I'm gonna show you one thing or two. And then the 25 1.2 Pro, best glass I've ever owned, says Jacob. I completely agree. And he says, I'm very curious about the 17mm. So as you know, I'm the super technical nerdy guy sometimes, and I've researched the hell out of the MTF values and so on and so forth. I never fully trust them until I've tested it myself, because, you know, there are always variabilities. In any case, what your colleague from OM System Hamburg, Germany, told me, so it's a bit embarrassing because the name is on the tip of my tongue. I'm not going to embarrass anyone here, but he said, well, the 17mm is 1.2 is known in OM system circles, like your tech guys, as one of the lenses with the highest resolving power that you actually ever made. And that coincides with all the tests out there. So at least those, would you agree on that?
Yeah, I mean, I use it for astro, I use it for streets, I use it for portraits. But what happened was when the 17 1.2 was launched, we were actually doing a macro day in a big, gardens here in London, Kew Gardens, very famous gardens. And what happens normally when we do workshops is all the lenses were taken by users, which I expect because that's what we do, 60s, 90s, 30s. And then I was left with the 17 1.2 on a macro day. And I thought, I'm going to have to work a bit harder. But let me tell you, it's close up focusing is incredible. You also get that beautiful option to blur everything out. You get some really nice arty creative again, and we're talking about creation, but you get a lot of arty creative stuff. So it's very much a good range of purposes. You don't just use it for street, you can use it for macro, you can use it for skies. It has a lot of purpose. So if you're only using it for one purpose, try it for other purposes, and I'm sure that you will be able to talk your viewers through those options. It's just so versatile. Yeah.
Exactly. I completely agree. And I was, yeah, no spoilers, no more spoilers. I'm going to
No
talk about
spoilers.
those in the next slides. And really, those are actually findings which are part of my upcoming 17mm
I can't wait.
1.2 review. It's going to take a while because, yeah, as I said, in any case, I'd like to quote a few before I move on, I'd say. I'd
Yeah.
like to really quote a few people in there who contribute. I very much appreciate that. It's a live stream. It's great to have you live in there, right? So someone using the EM1 Mark II and plans to upgrade. So Jacob plans to upgrade in the next couple of years. Completely fine, right? I mean, I got the shots in Colombia with the EM1 Mark I, right? You can do it, but really, believe me, the OM1 is gonna
You're right.
blow your socks off. Is that the
I
thing
love
that you
that.
say?
Blow
Yeah.
your socks off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Learn the thing. Okay. EM1X user in there got EM1X. You can get those for practically next to nothing. Also a great camera,
Yeah.
but for me, what I noticed the most when going to the OM1 is really the viewfinder difference, because
Oh,
and of course the autofocus system. But apart from that, really the old Olympus viewfinders, they are good. But the OM1s is one of the best ever made, regardless of manufacturer. That's just the thing. If you look through these things,
yeah.
and I've looked through all viewfinders from Leica to everything really. Those are all very good, and the OM1 is exactly in that category. So that is really a spectacular thing to see, right? So
Right.
that would be my upgrade comment when you look at the EM1X, which is of course a very special camera.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All
So
righty.
yeah, when I first got the OM1, I had it. It arrived from Tokyo in just a box. There was no instructions. I didn't know what was happening, and I took the camera out. The first thing you do, obviously, with any cameras, you look for the viewfinder, and it was like a yeehaw moment for me. It was,
Yeah.
I already thought that, we did need an upgrade on that viewfinder, to be fair, and it then moved into, being as good, if not better, than other brands out there for full frame 35mm sensor size. And as you can see, I wear glasses, so having a good sight is always great. But having a clear, bright, shockingly realistic viewfinder without any, sort of flickering or any of that, just made a huge difference. So again, it wasn't just the AF system that was updated, it was the processor, it was the viewfinder. I mean, it was so much stuff. So it was a revolution rather than an evolution. Yeah,
Absolutely,
for sure.
absolutely. Really, that's I completely agree. And you have to experience it and with to believe it. Honestly, this is not like,
Yes, for
yeah.
sure.
Everyone who knows my channel for years and years, they know the moment when I had like the Nikon D800, which I still have, and the OM1 Mark One back then. I was really like, okay, this is now really a camera which I can use in my pro work every day under all circumstances
Right.
and never ever look back. And you know what? I'm gonna say that I've got a Pentax 645C digital medium format. I've got the D800. I've got digital Leica cam. I've got really too much stuff because I love it. But the camera I use, it's the OM1 Mark One,
Good.
by the way, and it's just the way it is because it does what I want. It does it, you know.
Wonderful.
Better is always, because tastes differ, but it's just a thing. And and I'd like to switch to that. So Peter says, I got a Canon R8, which is a fantastic camera with the 35mm f1.4, excellent. And he says he's thinking about getting an OM-1 with the 17. So honestly, if you want to get an 17, like the combo new, and you want to try it to see how you like it, well, I'd say it's a great occasion, because now you can get it really for next to nothing at the, until 30th. So that's definitely worth trying, and it's not so I would look into that. But before you do that, you can really watch this live stream, and maybe because I've got a few, well, let's say I want to really highlight a few aspects which make this combo so special. So special, because it's always nice to, oh well, it's a very high resolving lens. Honestly, almost all lenses today, at least the pro lenses, they are so good, they are actually better than you actually need a lens to be in terms of resolution. You can print walls full of stuff, right? But here is the thing: if you've got a lens like the 17mm, you can do things that you cannot do with lesser lenses. I'm gonna talk about that. So really, it might really be a very interesting proposition to get that right now, and that's definitely a thing. Also, it's a very compact setup, right? And there is another one. I'm gonna read this one really quick. Sorry, it's gonna take a second. Oh yeah. Also, David says also got the 25 and the 45 1.2, and well, and really, I've had all three of those. I sold it back then with my EM1 Mark II. And now I bought them again. So
it's the trilogy.
Yeah,
we call them the trilogy, right? It's not just one good one, it's three good ones. It's a trilogy.
yeah. So right then, well, really, should I? Oh yeah, cool. So you know what? I'm gonna switch over here. 1 second, please. So Claire, if you would like to add anything else, otherwise I'm gonna say thank you. But
wonderful.
you want to add something? Sorry.
No, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me. It's normally I'm the host, and I really enjoy being a guest. It's wonderful to be a guest. But I'm now going to take a cup of tea. I'm going to sit and watch the rest of the show. And thank you so much for having me, and appreciate it.
Claire, thank you so much. Now that I've heard what you've done already today, so that's more than deserved. Well deserved. That's how I say it, right? So thank you so much for for nonetheless finding the time to have this conversation, to join in, to add your personal perspective. Not like the OM system perspective, which is one perspective, but also your personal perspective, and that is extremely valuable. And for sharing your enthusiasm, which I share with you and many people in the audience, I'd say. So thank you so much for that. And I'm gonna hang up now and
take care.
Get back
thank
to
you so much.
Thank you. I thank you.
Again.
So, friends, so that was the call in. Really cool that Claire could participate. This was on a very short notice, so really cool. Now that we've talked a little bit about the OM-1 with firmware 1.7, sorry about that, I'd really like to highlight a few things, what it does in practice. So, but before, okay, sorry for that. So, but before we do that, I'd like to talk a little bit more about the 17mm. I have 1.2 Pro. It's a 2-in-1 lens, and there is a very scientific reason for that, and I'd like to highlight that. So I'm gonna put these headphones down really quick. So what you see down there is the MTF50 chart of not one 17mm f1.2 Pro, but of various lenses I've tested. So I'm gonna talk about that in the teased review, the 17mm f1.2 review that's upcoming. But one thing I'd like to highlight is that when you stop this lens down to f2.8 and f4, right, it's really those two aperture values, you get practically double the resolving power that you need to get any image printed as big as you want. So usually, the threshold is really what I usually around 0.23 cycles per pixel, because then you can print basically an 8x10 without you like having like enough resolution that you cannot physically see that something isn't there, right? So it's like you're basically recording more detail than you can print. And as you're gonna move further back, when the print size increases, you can basically do everything. But as the 17mm f1.2 stop down to f2.8 and f4 reaches double the resolving power that you need, this means, of course, that you can apply a 2x crop to a frame captured with the 17mm f1.2 and still get an image that you can print as big as you want. And that is pretty incredible, because what this means in practice, that you can use the built-in digital teleconverter, especially the one in stills mode, and it's basically penalty free. And this makes this lens a 35 and a 70mm in 135 terms. So here's the thing, why am I talking about it like that in such great detail? The thing is, I've tested this in the lab and I was like, okay, well, yeah, but in practice, that's not gonna work, you know? You can test a lot of things in the lab and then you say, oh yeah, but in practice it doesn't look that good, and so on and so forth. But I forced myself to, during this trip in Amsterdam, to do exactly that, to use the 17mm, both at 17mm and by assigning the digital teleconverter to a button and basically zooming in to, well, approximately 70mm on a 135 film camera. So, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna check whether my test results hold up when I stop down the lens to f2.8 and f4. Spoiler alert, yes, absolutely. It holds up and I was able to validate the results. And here's the thing, I'm gonna show you an example image, but let me highlight one thing. Of course, this gain in resolution also applies to the digital teleconverter in movie mode, which is on the OM-1, applies a 1.4 crop, but due to the processing chain of the video signal, it is almost as effective, but well, it is actually more effective in a way than in stills mode, but the correlation with the resolution is a bit different, because of course you're not really recording, you're not recording like the full 20 megapixel of the OM-1, but you are recording just parts of the sensor, and the camera is using a different readout mode. So long story short, it's a bit different, but nonetheless, you can also do the trick that I'm gonna show you. It's like using the lens with the digital teleconverter without any penalties. So now let's take a look at an image, right? You ready? Everyone's ready? Yeah. Let's go. Okay, I didn't click that correctly. Ah, there we go. There is our example image. So here is a street photo, and this is not, I'm not showing this photo because it's like my best shot from Amsterdam. As I said, it's not gonna be the family slideshow today. If you want to see more photographs, please follow me on Instagram and Facebook, thomaseisl.photography for my model work, or thomaseisl.reportage for street work and street photography, right, and stuff like that. So here we go. What you see on the screen right now, OM-1 Mark 1, ISO 1600, and the 17mm f1.2 Pro stopped down to f2.8. I'd say it looks pretty decent, right? So let's bring this one up to 1:1. Now, every single pixel that you see on your full HD stream right now, so well, maybe not on the stream, but if you rewatch it then, right, there might be some compression. Every one pixel equates to 1 pixel of the photograph. So this is the 1:1 view of this photograph. Remember, ISO 1600, I didn't apply any noise reduction. Not at all. This is OM workspace processed, put on the slide, and that's it. That's it. So I'd say that's pretty decent for ISO 1600, right? And this is actually good enough to post like that on all social media and to even get a print of that. So really impressive. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. You weren't actually looking at the full photograph. You were looking at this crop right here. The grayed out area that you see is the full frame that I've captured with the OM-1 Mark I and the 17mm f1.2 Pro stopped down to f2.8. Okay, so that is the full image that you see. What I showed you previously, I'm gonna move back really quick, is actually just a very small crop. It is pretty much a 2x crop. Yeah, as I didn't frame the shot properly during capturing it, I had to reframe a bit, so that's why the crop is not like in the middle, because if you use the digital teleconverter, the crop is gonna show up in the middle of the frame, right? So in any case, that's just this tiny crop. And honestly, for me personally, it is very, very hard to believe that this face is actually just so tiny in the frame and still is a perfectly resolved portrait shot. This is outstanding. And here is the thing, people are like, oh, the OM-1, this is not high-res shot, by the way, this is regular 20 megapixel capture. That's all I did there. You know how this worked out? I was walking the streets and I like, shot. That's it. That's why it's not framed properly on anything. It's just a snapshot. Pretty impressive, right? Pretty impressive. In any case, why is that? 20 megapixel are usually not known for good cropping power, but the problem is that people don't actually know what really limits cropping, and it's not the megapixels. It's not the megapixels. Even if the OM-1 had like, I don't know, 16 megapixels, I could crop the exact same shot and you wouldn't see much difference, if any difference at all. Only the one-to-one view would be a bit smaller. But here's the thing. Keep that sentence in mind if you want to impress someone, right? I hope at least so, that you want to share that, because it is the lens resolves, the sensor records. If you've got a shitty lens, sorry for the word, oh, bad language, hopefully YouTube's not gonna cut that. If you've got a bad lens, then no megapixel number in the world can save you. It's just like that. But if you've got a good lens, then you can almost put any sensor behind that and get excellent results. I said almost. And here's the thing, the 17mm f1.2 Pro is one of the best, if not the best, micro four thirds lens ever made in terms of resolving power. This is if you want to see what micro four thirds is truly capable of, get this lens. Get this lens. Because it really, at this point, it is the only one that can give you these results, at least to my knowledge, right? I'm always testing. So, that is that. But that's not the only thing that's remarkable about this image. What I also find remarkable is how I got the shot. I already told you, I was like this in the streets, raised the camera to the eye, pointed it, and fired away. Got one shot. Electronic shutter, that's it. So, which autofocus mode did I use? Unsurprisingly, the all target mode, because that's what we're gonna talk about today, right? The all target mode. And now I've overlaid the image with all the AF target points, so the cross type target points that the OM-1 Mark I has to offer, right? And then I highlighted the elements in the frame which are actually the closest to the camera with pink. So all these AF points are highlighted in pink. So would the AF target mode just use a simple phase detection calculation and determine the distance to the subject and focus, then the camera would actually focus down below where these cross type autofocus points are pink, right? Because those are the closest to the camera, and maybe the passerby that walks in on the right hand side of the frame. But actually it is this area where the OM-1 acquired, OM-1 Mark I Firmware 1.7 all target AF acquired focus. Let's take a closer look at that, okay? On the right hand side, right underneath, whoops, there you can see it, right underneath my face, there is a small detail shot from OM Workspace. I just enhanced that because when you bring images in OM Workspace, the camera is only gonna show you one focus point which it allegedly used. But if you use the camera in practice, and if you use the all target AF mode in practice, you're gonna see something like that. Oh, you know, I didn't plan doing that, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Yeah, I'm gonna show that live on screen. Wait a second. We will see. Yeah, can you see that? Yeah. So then you're gonna see, you know, you're gonna see multiple AF points in action in case I press the AF on button in my camera. So it's actually using more. So it's basically checking the whole field of view and looking at all autofocus points, applying the algorithm and focusing simultaneously with it. So that's basically what's happening. Nonetheless, the camera is really just showing one spot. Okay, so that's also a tip for nature photographers. If you work with the OM-1 Mark I and you see only one spot highlighted, this doesn't mean that other autofocus points weren't used. It's just the way EXIF limitations work, that they can just store one autofocus point, one active point. That's also with other manufacturers, by the way. That's not an OM thing. In any case, the camera used these cross-type quad pixels to actually get the focus. And I want to remind you that you've seen the crop of this portrait, right? This is like I manually focused on her eyes, on her face, but the camera just got it right with the all target all target AF mode. And previously, honestly, I wasn't really using the all target mode, as I said previously with the chat in the chat with Claire, right? Because it's just not, you know, for me it was just too little control. But in Amsterdam, I just left it to this. I almost never changed to another target, especially when going for these street shots. It was basically just, you know, there you can see it, AF on, right? AF on, getting the shot, and that's it. I'm gonna move. Yeah, you probably didn't see it because the window was pretty neat. So that's, I mean, I'm blown away if you didn't notice that by now. So I'm gonna go through the comments really quick. And so yeah, David, thanks for that. It's really yeah. Honestly, I was also perplexed when I saw it on the back side of my screen on the camera. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. But when I looked at it later on my computer and I said that, and I saw that I can really apply my theory that you can apply a 2x crop without any penalties in image quality, which are significant, into practice, I was actually blown away. I was blown away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? And yeah, I agree. So and here's the thing. Eric has a very important remark here. He says, Eric, thanks also for being a channel member. I very much appreciate your support. I have to highlight that. And he says, well, you can crop heavily and maintain enough sharpness for printing, but what about the effects of magnifying noise? So yes, you are absolutely right. You are, of course, magnifying the noise as well. And if you use lesser lenses than the 17mm f1.2 Pro, you are also magnifying various lens defects. Because at f2.8 and f4, the 70mm f1.2 Pro is basically almost an apo lens, yeah, an apochromatically corrected lens. So it's basically free of any lens defects which are visible. In any case, back to the noise. Of course, you are magnifying the noise, but honestly, this image was captured at ISO 1600, and I personally didn't see any noise, and I didn't apply any noise reduction. This is straight out of OM Workspace, noise filter set to off. That's how it looks. So really, I'd say, you know, until ISO 6400, you can do that. You can definitely use the 2x teleconverter like that. I mean, if you move beyond that, of course, with every ISO step, it's gonna be more noticeable. That's of course a thing. And I've shot fashion shows in the past where I had to use ISO 25600, right? Some people really like dark and moody fashion shows, it seems. And those were printed actually by the designer, and they even had an exhibition with those for showcasing their designs on the runway, shot at ISO 25600 with a 15mm f1.7 Panasonic Leica lens, at f1.7, and believe me, at this lens is at f1.7, not even close to, well, it's not even like, you know, it's nowhere near the 17f 1.2. But what I'd like to say here is that they were able to even print it with that, because of course they kept the print size, so there wasn't a need to crop heavily. But because if you crop into a 25,600 image, of course, yeah, that's gonna be a limitation noise wise, I'd say. Yeah, so in this case you cannot really do this trick. But if you stay in the ISO 200 to ISO 3200 6400 range, you can do that trick, I'd say. I mean, bit noise reduction applied and you are usually good to go. So and here is the thing. Yeah, so Ron says lens tip ranks the 45mm f1.2 Pro and the 17mm f1.2 Pro as you know, very, very highly. So number 1 and number 2. Here is the thing: if you test only, so that's not a criticism of lens tip, because I don't know how many samples they tested, but if you test only one lens, and especially if you test lenses which are such high performance lenses like the f1.2 series, you know, we are talking about, so I could measure, I'm just going to tell you that, I could measure if my cat was walking around in the next room. I got different resolving power results when a car was driving by my apartment block. I'm in the 4th floor, right? In the 4th floor. So we are talking about differences which are barely measurable. And I had to refine my testing setup, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 times. I tested almost 1.5 weeks to get the resolving power results, because it is, we are in regions which are, yeah, it's almost, you know, in optically and design wise, this is just nuts. You know, this is nuts what you are getting there. And so even small variations can lead to like placing a 17 above the 45 or below, because it's really, you know, could be very, very small things, and you get that. But in any case, lens tip, a great resource, and I'd say it's basically what they found out, that those are the best lenses as well. Yeah, that's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. So and then John says also about lenses. I wonder which lenses OMD will continue to produce, and when all Olympus branded lenses are sold, which ones will be rebranded OMD? Well, that's a good question. I can only tell you that we've had a few examples of lenses being rebranded, right? Like the 9-18, it was reworked and now has an OM system logo. And if I recall correctly, but don't quote me on that, I don't know, but maybe I'm sharing a few spoilers there. But I think I've seen the f1.2 primes with OM system branding already. So that is that. So I wouldn't worry about that. And yeah, I don't know about other lenses, right? We should have asked Claire that when she was still here. That's unfortunate, but yeah, in any case, I wouldn't worry about that. Really, honestly, I wouldn't worry about that. Get the lenses that you need and work with them. Actually, I would love to have OM system written on my lens. I still got one with Olympus on there. Well, doesn't matter. The OM-1 takes it nonetheless. So yeah. All right, so that's about the autofocus thing and the incredible resolving power. And of course, I'd like to highlight one last thing before I move on about these two lenses in one thing. Just think about the following. You stop down this lens to f2.8. You've got a minimum focusing distance of around 20 centimeters. So you've got a 70mm that focuses, what did I say? So that focuses very, very close. And as Claire already hinted at, yeah, you can basically get macro shots with this lens, given that you've set it to f2.8 and f4, I'd say, because otherwise the cropping trick works as well, but the fidelity wouldn't be as good. Okay, so yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so having said that, that's also about the versatility, right? I could go on for hours and hours about that, but I'm gonna split it up, and I also have to, you know, have some good things to say in my 17mm f1.2 review. In any case, while walking through the streets of Amsterdam, I stumbled across a group of fashion models in designer clothes, and I was actually doing street photography, right? I was dressed very casually and doing street photography. And I got in touch with the marketing person there, and we had a little chat. Said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm a fashion photographer from Vienna," and so on and so forth. And we had an impromptu fashion shoot right in the middle of Amsterdam, just like that. We just got a few snaps for the portfolio, and to document the whole occasion. And I did it with exactly the same lens, the 17 f1.2 Pro on the OM-1 Mark I. In this case, I switched to face detection, right? I didn't use the all-target AF mode, and for some shots I moved the target point around a little bit in single target mode, in small target mode. I rarely use single target mode. In any case, so of course you don't really have to like the look of my edit. It's like this high key look that I've found quite okay for this situation. But what I'd like to highlight is I was on a very tight schedule, right? They were promoting the brand, they were handing out flyers and stuff like that, so I wasn't able to work half an hour. It was like 10 minutes actually. So what I did with the OM-1, I set it, and the 17mm, I set it to f2.8, best resolving power, f2.8, f4, as I said previously, and then I just got shots which would work like as full shot and also cropped 2 times. So basically, I got 1 shot, which turned out to be 2 shots. And that's great if you do like an Instagram reel, or if you do just like a swipey thing on Instagram. But also if you work with someone and the designers say, actually, I would like a portrait out of that. I would actually like an American shot, like a half shot or something like that out of that. Well, with the OM-1 Mark I and the 17mm f2.8 in regular single 20 megapixel capture mode, you can do that. That's exactly what I did. So really, if you want to check out these images, please go just to the model agency's Facebook page. They posted a couple of these shots. So MB Management, that's how they are called. You can find the images there. They posted those a few days ago. I also shared them on my Facebook feed. So go to thomaseisl.photography on Facebook. You can see that, right? I mean, it's just on Facebook resolution wise, but anyways, those images made it to the portfolio. And honestly, if I would have chosen another single lens, single camera combo, okay. Hey friends, we are back. There was a small interruption. I'm sorry for that. I hope I didn't trip any wire here. But yeah, so yeah, that is that. And now, last but not least, let me highlight one more time the discount code down below. You get a little extra if you get the OM-1 Mark I and one of the Pro lenses. So if you've got the 17mm f1.2 already but want to get another one, feel free to do that. I think it's cool to get a little extra with what is already a fantastic price. Again, just click on the link, which I'm going to post in a second. Might be that it's not available in your region. Just go check that out. So yeah, thank you so much for joining this stream. Thanks for joining this after action review. A huge thanks to Clare for joining in, but also to OM System for providing the discount code. I mean, that's just fantastic. I like that a lot, and yeah, that's great. So I'm just gonna wait a couple of seconds until I hang up, and just a quick thing. Okay, now I see 10 Mbits, so I'm gonna say a few things. Thank you so much for your kind words. It is great and it honors me that you say, oh, I'm an asset for the community. But honestly, the asset is you. You watching the stream, you participating, and also you, keeping an open mind about all these things. And yeah, that's just awesome. So I'm very, very thankful for that. I'm very thankful that you spend time with me on the channel. I'm very thankful for your support, be it you watching, you subscribing, or purchasing one of my ebooks, PDF guides, for you being a channel member, for making donations, whatever you do. And if you're just in the comment section asking questions or helping others out in there, well, that's the thing. So you are the asset. I'm just here to talk to you, and I'm having a great time thanks to you. And that's the truth, right? Okay. Thanks again. All right then. So I'm gonna hang up. Have fun photographing, and yeah, stay tuned. So my videos are maybe just one thing before I say goodbye. My videos are they require a bit even more work than previously. So that's why I'm a bit slow in the publishing schedule. Yeah, but that's why, for example, the 17mm review. Well, it's a very complex topic, and I really wanna give this lens the credit it deserves and really explore all its aspects. And that just takes weeks and weeks. It's in all honesty. Oh, that's pretty interesting. The 17mm sold out. Okay. That's funny. Well, maybe you can still get it in the combo, but yeah, that's cool. In any case, whoever bought all these 17mm, they can be lucky about that. All right, friends. So have a great night. Thanks again for joining. It was a blast, and hope to see you soon here on the channel. Goodbye.